So, me and my friend Fox were playing a variety of games on stream the other day. Twitch.tv/TooManyVoicesTV. And we came across this game called Jam and the Mystery of the Mysteriously Spooky Mansion. And hands down, it was one of the funniest games I have ever played. And you should play it.
Hey idiot, you can't just say that and then end the video. You actually have to give more than that.
Fine. Alright, I guess here's a quick synopsis of the game. You play as Jam, the greatest kid detective from ages 4 to 17 in Westland, trying to solve the mystery of the mysteriously spooky mansion.
What mystery? This house looks perfectly fine to me. Oh my god, what is that thing?
I left a lot of it intentionally vague as part of the central joke where, instead of like in a typical horror story where the investigator goes into the house and starts piecing together all the clues to the mystery that's threatening their life, instead Jam simply ignores everything.
Oh hey, Rez, creator of this game.
I'm Rez, and I'm the developer of Jam and the Mystery of the Mysteriously Spooky Mansion. I know that when I started the project, I wanted to make sure that the game was very controlled in its scope so that it wouldn't balloon out of hand. Something I've learned from past projects is that the most important thing to consider if you want to actually get something done is that your game has a finite, limited scope. It took me a week to develop the game, and over the course of the week, I think I steadily forgot each of the days that came before it. So I'm not entirely certain how the combinatorial evidence mechanic came about, except that I knew at the beginning that gathering clues is going to be part of it, because there's going to be a detective game. You have to gather clues in a detective game. And I have documentation showing that at one point I planned to make it so that you could combine 3 pieces of evidence, and that obviously was going to be too much work. 20 endings instead of 15. Humor is a really difficult genre to talk about, because the moment you start to dissect a joke and analyze what makes it so funny, the joke is dead. It's like trying to dissect something. It never survives the dissection. But I would say that the most important thing that I was thinking about while I was working on the comedy here was the timing and the delivery of the lines. I think good execution can make a mediocre joke better, and bad execution can kill even the best joke. And then you can move on to the next one. Some advice that a writing teacher gave me is never try to top your jokes. Once you've made a punchline, don't try to one-up it immediately afterwards. Move on to the next joke. I would say that probably the biggest inspiration is Scooby-Doo or Encyclopedia Brown. It's set up as the ending of a Scooby-Doo episode where the detective has cornered the villain, they've tied them up, unmasked them, and then the detective starts expositing to the audience what all the clues meant and how they add up. But in this case, the detective has no idea what's going on. Yeah, I find with a comedic duo, it's always important to have, it's sort of a classical trope, but you have the one character who's sort of out there saying the things that are sillier, funnier, and then you have the other character that they can bounce off of. When I wrote it, I didn't put any pronouns in there intentionally so that the player could interpret that as they wanted to. So I think any interpretation the player comes up with is valid, but my personal interpretation is yes, non-binary. And Jam will make a cameo in the next project, I think. It's a 6 Before Midnight is the title. It's going to be a fairy tale based puzzle game. You play as a really terrible fairy godparent. Really terrible protagonists is a bit of a theme. And you've been entrusted with ensuring that the princess and the prince end up having a great night together and nothing goes wrong. But of course, various things go wrong. And you eventually figure out the ability to time travel back in time to 6 minutes before midnight. But you only have those 6 minutes to change the starting conditions of the ball. And depending on what you meddle with, the ending results are going to be very different. And so you have to loop back in time over and over again in order to find the right combination of things to meddle with to get you through the night with no casualties.
Thank you, Rez, for coming on. Anyways, this game was extremely fun, and I highly recommend it, and furthermore, it's free on itch.io for Halloween, so go check it out. Alright, so this video was actually really difficult to get out. I recorded the beginning parts where I was just talking originally with just me being there in person, and twice I accidentally didn't have the mic set up correctly, so the audio was just nothing. So here you can see me standing and there's just no audio. So yeah, very annoying. So I went in and re-recorded it with just my backgrounds and stuff that I do. So thanks for coming. I have been Judah Danos, but you can call me Judah Danos.